I didn't think you were there, but I sometimes you forget, and I just wanted to be sure. Alright, so I'm gonna sort of recreate the drawing that we did as a class. Maybe not completely specifically, but we will go over. Alright, so perspective drawing on a whole, does that make sense? Kind of what we did that first day, does that all kind of come back? Horizon line, orthogonal, back wall, vanishing point, make sense?
Yeah.
Alright, so what we're gonna do is let's just we're going to go ahead and draw in a horizon line kind of towards the top-ish, and then we will put in a vanishing point kind of on the left third, and then we'll put in a back wall just a little bit bigger. Our papers and the board are relatively close proportionally, so it shouldn't be too crazy to kind of have your drawing close to this. So, back wall obviously needs to contain the vanishing point. The vanishing point needs to be on the horizon line. So those are all kind of things that have to happen always. So we'll leave that there. With that, we can then proceed to put in our orthogonals, our primary orthogonals. Those start at the vanishing point and go through the corners of the back wall. And it looks like probably not going to need the horizon line as of right now, so I'm going to get rid of mine. I honestly don't know what's wrong with that table. I've tried several times to fix it. I don't know if the screws just continually come loose. And then sometimes I just kind of forget to go back to it. So it's super fun. I'm sorry, Adam. All right, so over here, you almost there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
I thought we did it on the other side.
Yeah, I did. As I said, this wasn't going to be exact, but. So, one of the first things that we decided to do was put in a pit for our wonderful hallway. Now, for drawing a pit, what we want to do is we want to put in a horizontal line. Now, where it goes is completely up to you. If you want it like to be a very large pit or one that completely contains the hallway, what are you thinking? Is there space to walk around it, or is it going to be like, okay, so put in a horizontal line. Where it ends is up to you as far as horizontally goes. What we're going to do is we're then going to put in an orthogonal line that comes off of that horizontal line. Obviously, it's orthogonal, so it starts at the vanishing point, and then we're going to carry that down. Now, I'm going to then, off of that orthogonal, put in a second horizontal line. Now, kind of up to you as to how you proceed with this. you can estimate where your orthogonal is going to be, or you could put in your orthogonal first and estimate where it would end in reference to the other horizontal line or the other orthogonal line. Or you could guess and then just erase if you need to. But basically, you just need to complete this kind of shape, putting in 2 horizontals and 2 orthogonals. Basically, what we have is a rug as of right now. To make it into a pit, does that make sense? Questions on that? Okay. So making it into a pit, we need to show that there's some depth to it. So what we're going to do is on the back corners of where our first horizontal and our orthogonal lines meet, we are going to put a vertical line going down. And then this vertical line will stop at the second horizontal line, that rug. We do not want to draw outside of that rug kind of surface, because the rug surface is like the entirety of the pit. So we keep our vertical lines contained within it. So now we have 2 vertical lines showing that there's a pit. So being that we want a nice solid pit that won't, fall apart or get filled in too easily, what we're going to do is we are going to put some brickwork on it. And being that this pit is now drawn in this way, basically this right here is like a secondary back wall. It functions the same way as a back wall does. So any of the lines that I draw on it will all be horizontal and vertical only. So I'm going to put in some brickwork. I'm just going to carry a couple horizontal lines across. Now, being that it's a back wall, my lines should be fairly close to parallel, unless the person who made the pit for you was not very good, or maybe they were very good and they have different sized bricks. Okay. Now it's just like Legos. When you build a Lego wall, you do not stack the bricks directly on top of each other. You alternate and overlap them. So I'm going to do the same thing with the brickwork here. I'm going to put some bricks in, and I can just go every other one when I draw my vertical lines in. All right, now I have those bricks in. I have a solid black back wall. This helps illustrate that the wall goes straight down. If I were to put some like curved lines in or something like that, it would definitely adjust this. All right, now to finish off our pit, before we move on, we need to put the brickwork in on these side walls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line my ruler up with the vanishing point and each brick line. So then what I do is I just carry an orthogonal line on each of those side walls from the vanishing point and where the brickwork touches that side wall, and I'll just draw in an orthogonal on there. It's going to get crowded, and that's totally fine. It's a sidewall. It has orthogonals, so the lines should get closer together and should be harder to kind of read and separate. I'll do that on both side walls. Just lining up the vanishing point and the ruler and where those lines meet. carry the orthogonal down. Okay, just like that. Good. All right. So just to finish it off, we need to put in some vertical lines. So you need to make sure that your ruler is sitting perfectly vertical and it will be parallel to any other vertical line. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to carry through and put some vertical lines in for the brickwork on these side walls. Now, something to make sure that I'm doing is the bricks should get subtly bigger. I do not want to stack them on top of each other, and I need to make sure that my vertical lines are staying pretty close to vertical. It is pretty easy to kind of let them kind of start getting angled, and you just have to really make sure that they stay vertical. If they were to start falling out of vertical, then it's just going to kind of break your illusion. So you just need to make sure they stay pretty vertically down. So we got a pit. Let's just go ahead and do an inset because it's pretty close to a pit. This will be kind of like the doorway outside of our hallway where you can, it kind of like drops out. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in two vertical lines that go from top to bottom of the floor of the wall, from floor to ceiling. These two vertical lines, you would typically, if you're doing this from site, you would have to measure their distance apart. But you also want to make sure they're perfectly parallel to any other vertical line. These will define the space of the inset. The inset will not go out of this space. So it's kind of like the rug for the pit. Everything we do for the inset at this point will be contained inside of there. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a tiny back wall. So off of that front vertical, we are going to measure a horizontal line over where the vertical hits that top primary orthogonal. Now, being that I have a ruler, I might as well measure this over. So I'm just going to go 1 unit of my ruler over. And then I know that when I go to this bottom vertical where it hits that orthogonal that comes off of for the floor, I'm just going to measure 1 unit over. And then I'll connect them with a vertical line. Then I have another little tiny back wall inside of that inset. And then all I need to do to finish this inset off as far as the structure goes is line my vanishing point up with the corner and using my ruler, lining up with the corner and draw an orthogonal line that comes off of that corner, kind of like our primary orthogonals do for our whole hallway. And then I stop at that second vertical where I said contained the inset. So the inset should not go beyond that. And then I have an inset. Yep, so then you do the same, you have lines up with that one, and then just carry it here.
Should you look like something?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we're gonna put in a fan. This will be super interesting. We'll put it somewhere over here. So basically, it's not much different than kind of the setup. Almost all of these things kind of set up in the same way. So we want to create a footprint or kind of the space that's going to define the fan. So we're going to, kind of like what we did for the pit, draw kind of like a defined area. So I'm going to put in a vertical line. I'm going to draw an orthogonal. Now this would be really up to you on your preference on what makes more sense. Maybe you want to draw in the next vertical and define that area. So like I could put a vertical line over here, really light, saying this is how far I want this to go. But I don't know where my orthogonals are. So what I'm going to do is then, if I have that vertical line in, line my vanishing point up with the top of the vertical line, carry the orthogonal over to where it hits that vertical. And then draw more certain where I know that vertical line will be. Okay, our fan's going to be a little bit smaller than when we drew with the rest of the class. Now, what we need to do is we need to find the midpoint. Let's stop it right there. So we'll stop there for now, and we will continue this tomorrow.